Welcome back to Exploring Whiskies. I'm Eric.
I'm Kevin, and today we're gonna head down south.
Yeah,
south.
South of us, Texas.
Yeah, we're hitting up Texas to a distillery that's really kind of rewriting American whiskey a little bit. This is the Balcones Lineage. This is brand new, released in 2020. One of the latest regular releases that they do. They've got,
These guys are picking up a lot of steam.
Yeah, they have 8 regular releases, right? They have some special releases.
And then annual releases. Like, they've got a lot going on down there.
And they win so many awards. I honestly, I just keep seeing their name. They win so many awards. This particular release, it did come out in 2020. It was number 17 in the top 20 whiskey list for Whiskey Advocate. It's kind of cool. They started their distillery 2008. They are based out of Waco, Texas, which every time I think of Waco, I think of, what was it, the Branch Davidian thing? Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's like the first thing I think of.
Yeah, that, and then you got Baylor.
Yeah, and now you have, a world recognized whiskey distillery. You have the Chip and Joanna Gaines are everywhere doing cooking shows and
rebuilding homes.
Yeah, exactly. So Waco's kind of they've kind of stepped their game up and are one of the recognized areas in Texas now versus in Austin or Dallas or Houston, San Antonio. But yeah, Waco's kind of a hot spot now. So the master distiller, Jared Himstead, I think his name is, has a background in actually like brewing.
Beer.
So craft beers was his game. Started to understand that, when you brew, it's basically how you start.
Yep.
Whiskey is, you put grains together and you get them to brew. It's a little different, but, it's kind of the same theory. So went over, really learned from Scottish master distillers and really tried to, and I want to say their goal as a company, they want to make American single malts a thing. Single malt, every time you ever hear single malt, all you ever think is Scotch.
Well,
but
if you're going to do it, now's the time.
Now's the time.
Everyone's trying to come up with their own rhyme, reason, recipe, trying to make a name for themselves.
Exactly.
And they've absolutely done it.
They've done it, and they've got a handful of different, like their baseline model, bills are very interesting. This is 100% malted barley. Some Scottish, some Texas, blended together, and then they mess around with the aging. So it is only aged 36 months, but because of the temperature fluctuations,
Texas heat
in Texas, they can pick up a lot of the barrel notes and colors. It's still not Texas. It's still not Scotch though. Like if you think of most Scotches, with the Wee Beastie at 5 years is probably the youngest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
10's pretty much the norm there. Now, their temperature doesn't fluctuate as much as Texas, so I'm sure there's a barrel impact from the temperature fluctuation that you wouldn't get in Scotland, but there's also
you gotta think there
an age thing that you're not getting.
The summers are so
hot,
blazing hot, but they still get a winter.
Yeah,
it's still the northern part of Texas,
right?
For the most part.
Snow. Yeah, they'll get all of it. I get a lot of malty, fruity.
I'll tell you what,
candy.
when I took that initial sip, peach, right out of the gate.
You can peach
smell
tea.
It. Yeah,
you can smell peach tea, right? Yeah, totally agree with that. I used to love me a Snapple's peach tea, and now that's all I taste is peach. Peach tea is what I taste right there.
Oh, the peach is
very strong.
Very strong.
Which I don't think I got peach the other couple times that I've tasted this. That's the funniest part. Like that, the malt is, it's a very malt, it's 100% malt. And that malt does come through. It's very
peachy. I get a little bit of orange. I don't know, it dries up though, that finish.
Well, that's going to be that, that oak is going to come through a little bit stronger. I would like to see if they could I get the aggressiveness of 3 years in a barrel. Other kicker on the barrels, they do new oak, like most bourbons. They also do refilled or ex-bourbon barrels.
So it's a whiskey.
Oh, it's definitely, well, it's a single malt, so it's definitely a whiskey. But the fact that they actually do like the traditional Scotch way, but they also kind of do the American way, you know, and then they blend the two together. It's just kind of neat, like, you know, new oak and refill oak.
I can see why this one made the list.
It
is delicious.
It's amazing. It is a it's a great little bottle. I was so ever loving excited when I saw that bottle.
So we make a trip down to Waco. I have to bring an extra suitcase.
Yeah.
And have to check.
Well, now it just makes me interested. I got to try other ones.
Well, we go to the tasting room. I would hope we
Well,
could.
I think there's a handful available around here.
I haven't seen any.
I think I've seen the blue corn one before.
Was it True Blue or Baby Blue?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, I think I've seen that before. We still need to steal the one from Woolery. A buddy of ours has a bottle.
Doesn't even know what he has.
And he doesn't necessarily enjoy it, but it was very different. This is way more approachable. I think he'd enjoy this versus that bottle, because that bottle was kind of the same idea, like a single malt. I think it was a single malt pot still whiskey, but it was super dark and very complex and very like dark chocolate, like heavy notes. This is a little bit lighter, fruitier, peach, honey, like those kind of notes. I think he'd like this better. So maybe
I don't know who wouldn't.
Maybe we can do a little switch up with him. I'll give him a little bit of this, and he gives us a little bit of his.
No, this is really good. And at $40.
Very
ish. Yeah, 40.
Right around 40 bucks.
Yeah.
I want to say
94 proof.
I think where I found it, I think it was 43.
Okay. Still.
So still, I would, for $43 all day long, I'd buy that. That is totally worth it. Funny part is I bought this while I was up in New Jersey. No one else liked this. Can't quite get people to break from that bourbon.
My experience traveling, New Jersey up the coast is it's more of a kind of your run-of-the-mill whiskeys, but more heavy in the Scotch on the East Coast. At least my friends are more. Well, but they kind of stick to the
standards.
The standards.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of
the makers, the Jack,
exactly.
the Jim.
That's exactly correct. There's a lot of makers, Buffalo Trace when they can find it, Gentleman Jack.
Yep.
That kind of like that's a lot of the what people are drinking there. Me too. I mean, I had the selections of Maker's Mark or Knob Creek, and that's pretty much the only ones I could find that were like bourbons in New Jersey. It's gotten better, but
well, you got the
Hudson Valley one. Yeah. There's a handful coming out of New York. There's a handful that are coming out of New York now that are interesting. There's a Kings County that comes out of there. There's a handful of craft distilleries that are starting up in New York too. So whole nother exploration.
Yeah.
Ultimately, for a Texas whiskey, I'm gonna say there's no comparison. It's not exactly a Scotch. It's not exactly a bourbon. It's
a happy medium.
Somewhere in the middle. It's what it is. It's somewhere in the middle. It's a malty bourbon.
When I found they're from Texas, I was like, ooh, I've had the TX.
Yeah, I know you don't like the TX.
And I held off for about a year on buying anything from there. And I read some good stuff about it, and then I bought it, and I was like, overhyped. I didn't like it. It was way too young for me.
Yeah. This
at 3 years?
They rely on those temperature changes.
Yeah, well, they got it.
But I think all the Texas distilleries do. They rely on those drastic temperature changes accelerates the aging. Yep. And it does some of it, not all of it. There's still something to be said for 10 years sitting in a barrel. Like it's going to do something to it. I couldn't imagine what 10 years sitting in a barrel in Texas would do because
we're going to find
oak
out.
would be
2008 was when they opened up.
They probably have it
once they figured out what works for them,
right?
There's going to be some stuff.
I wonder if
there's going to be some stuff coming.
There's a barrel sitting.
That's going to be aged.
Yeah, there's a barrel sitting in the back. That's you know, yeah, a 10-year release or a 15-year release.
But the buzz they've got going right now, if it's on the shelf, it's going to disappear. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like the Wellers. Once it hits, it's going to be picked up.
But they win a whole bunch of stuff. There's another Texas one, and I'm drawing a blank on that. There's another Texas distillery that's done really well and like won a lot of awards. And I'm drawing a blank on it. It's not the TX one.
God, I don't know. This peach is so strong.
It's so to me it started to disappear.
Yeah,
it's still there, but it's not as predominant. I'm getting a little bit more of a, I don't know, like a little cinnamon is somewhere in there too. It's good. I mean, the malt, the sweet, everything about it is very good. I'm not going to say it's overly oaky, but I can smell a little bit of an oak note to it.
As quick as it dries up.
Yeah, I gotta assume there's some oak tannins sitting in there.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go back to for $40. If you can find that, you need to buy it and try it.
At least one bottle, if not two.
If you like bourbons and you're trying to stretch outside of bourbons, the fact that it's a single malt, there's no corn, totally different. If you like scotches and you want to stretch outside of scotches, it's got a lot of it's familiar to bourbon, but there's a lot of scotch notes to it as well. I think it's a solid blend of American Scotch.
And if you can find it for $40, because I have a feeling it's probably
it's possible.
As much buzz as they're getting.
Yeah, as soon as you land on that top 20 list for Whiskey Advocate, people just start.
The price is going to jump.
Yeah,
because you're going to see that little sticker.
Yeah.
Right next to the price label.
That is a wonderful bottle. Super glad that we got to try it and enjoy it. Totally need to keep an eye out to try to find some new ones from the line. And actually, I'd like to replace this bottle too.
Well, we keep talking about trying to go to Scotland, hit the hundreds of distilleries over there, but like we need to make a
Yeah, Texas is a lot closer.
It's a lot closer, a lot cheaper to get to.
Probably, yeah.
But no, in fact, they have 8 standard.
In their baselines. They have 8 baselines.
And they have another 8 that kind of fall in that annual special releases. They have a rum too. I'd be curious to see what the rum's like. Not a huge rum guy, but I did look on the website and they got a rum.
All depends on what it's mixed with. I don't think.
Well, you got to taste it neat.
Do you?
Yeah. Some of those Jamaican rums I've had, they are
solid
by themselves.
All right.
And everyone I've talked to that works in that is heavily involved in a liquor store, they said that's the next big thing.
Okay.
Rum, because you don't have to age it as long.
Right.
Like that's the next thing that's coming. So I'll be interested to see.
I just got apricots. Like dried apricot.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's really good. That's the long and short is, if you see it for $40-ish,
you better buy it.
Buy it because I have no idea how long it's going to last. It is
at that price point. It's
very good.
It's going to change.
Yeah, that's a very good bottle of whiskey right there.
So
totally agree. I see why it's sitting on the top 20 for last year.
Absolutely.
That's an amazing little release right there, and it's just kind of I like their stylings, the little wax symbol. Like it's kind of a cool little something to the bottle.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you scored this bottle.
Yeah,
me too. Jaunt back to New Jersey.
Yeah.
So fabulous bottle out of the Balcones lineup. I can't wait to track down some more. This was spectacular. So we hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, we encourage you to hit the like button on the screen. And if you've actually tried some other ones, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear what you've tried at least out of the standard ones.
Yeah, right.
And see if we can track them down here locally or maybe come on a plane. Go down to that tasting room and bring a few bottles back. So.
And while you're down there liking and commenting, subscribe to the channel. That would help us out a lot. Throw a bell icon so you get notified every time we put out a new episode. And hopefully hopefully you can find the bottle and give it a shot, because I totally think everybody should at least needs to give it a shot. And if you don't like it, you can send it.
Yeah, or not. We'll both take care of it for you.
Exactly. We'll handle that for you.
But thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers.